Before we start this video, thank you to the members of the channel. What is up, boys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be going over all of the brand new diecast engines said to be coming out in 2026. We have 2-packs, individual engines, and then also some sets we will talk about in the later half of the video. But first off, these are all the characters and 2-packs said to be coming out next year for the brand new diecast line to go along with the brand new TV series. So one thing you will notice right off the bat is we have OG characters and then we have some Mattel characters. The biggest example of that is that we are getting Toby and Duck and Oliver and Toad back and Scruffy, but then we're also getting characters such as Bruno. And then also we have some meaningless characters such as Charlie and Rosie. Yes, Rosie. And then we have some very disgusting ones such as Nia and Emily. But thankfully, we are getting some rolling stock. It says Troublesome Truck and Troublesome Tanker. So before I get ahead of myself, let's go down the list and go through all of these characters, and I'll give you my thoughts. So confirmed for 2026, we have Diecast Thomas, Toby, and Duck, a very nice top 3. Then we have Emily, Nia, and Diesel. Then we have Bill, no Ben confirmed. And then we have Mavis confirmed, Salty, Rosie, Whiff. Mattel is still hanging on to Whiff. Whiff is another kind of meaningless character. I mean, he works at the waste dump. That's something, but we're still clinging on to these characters such as Rosie and Charlie and Whiff. I don't know why. We don't need them. We just don't. You know, where's Edward on this list? We really have Charlie and Whiff and Rosie, yet no Edward and no Ben, no Boko, no Daisy. You know, give us Trevor, the traction engine. How about that? Terrence, maybe. But of course, no, we're not going to prioritize classic characters ever. Moving on, then we have Hero, Charlie, Flynn. Yes, Flynn is making a return for some reason, another pointless character. Then we have RHENEAS, a narrow gauge character. That's something I probably should have let off the video with. We have a narrow gauge character returning in 2026. I don't even know when the last time we saw these narrow gauge characters was. Was it season 20? I have no idea. I know they appeared in Henry Gets the Express, so who knows the last time we saw these guys. I think in that episode we saw Scarlowi and RHENEAS. Anyways, we're getting Harold and then Scruffy, some rolling stock. Sadly, Bruno's just some pointless, meaningless brake van, I guess. Caboose. He's not even a brake van. Is he a caboose? He's just some sped caboose. Like, come on. And then we have a Troublesome Truck and a Troublesome Tanker. So out of this list, I do appreciate a good amount of it, but characters like Nia and Rosie, Charlie, Flynn, Bruno, we do not need. Emily, fine, you're going to shove her in there as always. Shove her into the cast for no reason. Fine. But then I would like to see Ben. I would like to see Terrence. I'm glad we're getting characters such as Mavis, though, because I honestly don't remember the last time we saw Mavis either. After around the Brenner era, it just gets so bad. You just can't even pay attention anymore. But thankfully, we're getting rolling stock. And I'm so glad to see Scruffy back. Now, remember, Mattel did release Scruffy and Thomas Wooden Railway a long time ago, but he was completely plastic and he came with like a Thomas Wood Ryan, I believe. It was like the Sodor Dynamite pack or something. So I'm glad that's a W that we're getting Scruffy back. It's a W we're getting a Troublesome Tanker. I'm glad they're kind of prioritizing rolling stock a little bit. So at least with these terrible engines, if there's good rolling stock, but probably not. The rolling stock's probably not going to be very good considering it's going to be CGI Troublesome Truck faces, and those faces don't look like Troublesome Trucks at all or how they should look. So, at least we're getting a Tanker and Scruffy. That's a positive. And then as of RHENEAS, I'm wondering if the narrow gauge engines now make a return next year in the TV series, every single one of them, or if we're just going to see one or two in the background, or if all of the characters are going to return, but not every character gets a piece of merchandise. So, that'll be interesting to see because we also have Bill and no Ben. So will Bill and Ben both appear, but we only get one character in the merchandise line? We'll see. Mattel has always made weird decisions with the toys and the merchandise and what characters get a release and what don't. So really can't rely on them to give us every single character. But glad to see Toby, glad to see Duck. Good thing to see Scruffy as well. And we already missed it, but the Diecast 2-packs, you saw it on screen there, but we are getting Thomas and Annie, Percy and Clarabelle. So you're going to be forced to have to buy the Thomas and Percy pack in order to buy Annie and Clarabelle. So that's interesting. I don't think they've ever done that before. But then we're getting Toby and Henrietta. So yes, we are getting Annie and Clarabelle and Henrietta as coaches, rolling stock. Thomas, Percy, and Toby. And then we're getting Oliver and Toad. So Oliver's making a return as well into the franchise once again. So we're getting Oliver and Toad. Toad, another piece of rolling stock. So we finally have a brake van. So for rolling stock, essentially for Diecast, we have Annie and Clarabelle. Then we have Henrietta. Then we have Toad, the Troublesome Truck, Troublesome Tanker, and Scruffy. So that's not a bad lineup. I would like to see some more, of course. Let's not just stop here, Mattel. Let's keep going with the rolling stock because I think rolling stock is a heavily underrated part of merchandise lines. It's something that Thomas Wooden Railway did perfectly, so we should definitely be seeing more rolling stock released, not just these. And then on screen right now, you'll see these are the push-along diecast sets we will be getting, from this brand new line. We have Bell Station Track. Then we have Tidmouth Track, Percy's Hippo Adventure, Cranky at the Docks. And then, so we only have 4 confirmed, but then we also have that other pack with Percy, but that's more like a track pack. I'm not sure. But it's kind of concerning to see Percy's Hippo Adventure. I think that's pretty goofy. But Tidmouth Track could be like, I guess, Tidmouth Sheds, Cranky at the Docks, obviously including Cranky. Bell Station Track, I'm not sure what Bell Station means. Probably just some gimmicky plastic station with some track. But at least they're giving us some diecast sets. Hopefully 1 or 2 of them are of good quality, such as Cranky at the Docks or the Tidmouth Track set. Hopefully it's Tidmouth Sheds or Tidmouth Station. That'd be pretty cool. So hopefully one of these sets is a good release, and I can hopefully review a lot of these characters. Hopefully their faces aren't absolutely butchered, but we'll see. So, to summarize, I'm glad we are getting Thomas and Toby and Duck, Diesel, Bill, Mavis, Salty, RHENEAS, Harold, Scruffy, Troublesome Truck, and Troublesome Tanker. Every other character, I don't care for. I do not care for Emily, or Nia, or Rosie, or Whiff, or Hero, or Charlie, or Flynn, or Bruno. All these pointless, meaningless characters that Mattel, or that were just shoved into CGI. And essentially, these characters who have no character or no purpose on Sodor, such as Nia, they serve no purpose on the railway. They are replacing legacy characters such as Terrence or Trevor or Birdie or Boko or Daisy or Edward, one of the main characters, one of the top 3 characters in, first 3 characters introduced in the Railway series. So the fact that we don't have Edward is a slap in the face. Now, this list may be incomplete. We may be getting more engines confirmed, more rolling stock and, side characters confirmed, but it's good to see we have some of the classic engines, but we're still missing so many classic legacy characters. That should be a bare minimum because kids do not associate with Whiff. They do not associate with Rosie or Charlie or Flynn or Bruno. They don't recognize them. Everybody watches Classic Thomas, and you give them Birdie and Terrence or Daisy and Boko and Edward, they're going to choose them over Flynn and Charlie and Rosie every single day. Every single day. I think for rolling stock, it'd be pretty cool if we got Hector the Horrid. Hector the Horrid would actually be a pretty good release for Diecast. So hopefully we keep getting more characters as rolling stock because I'm glad we're getting Toad and Oliver. So now we can have Oliver, Toad, and Duck, and then you have Toby and Henrietta, Thomas and Percy, Annie and Clarabelle. Percy can have some Troublesome Trucks. So for like the bare minimum, it's almost complete. We're just missing obvious, legacy characters. But bare minimum, Mattel is kind of doing it. We'll see how they look. Of course, these faces look absolutely AI generated. Whether they are or not, who knows? They look AI. They don't look like the characters. They don't look like Thomas and Friends characters. So a lot of this merchandise could be ruined right off the get-go because of the faces and how they look like AI. But It's a good thing we're getting certain characters and certain things released once again back into the franchise. And good thing they're also giving us some sets. Hopefully, there's actually decent destinations or track. But of course, we'll see what they do with the narrow gauge engines. RHENEAS is such a random character just to have alone. I'm surprised they didn't do Skarloey or Sir Handel or Peter Sam or Duncan or Rusty because those are kind of their main go-tos. Sadly, I don't think they'll ever give us Duke again. Hopefully we get Duke. I don't think it'll happen though. Hopefully we get Smudger. That'd be a massive gift for the OG fans. But anyways, these are all the confirmed diecast releases for 2026. Hopefully we went over it enough for you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll see you in the next one.